Why are ghosts so bad at lying?
Why?
Because you can see right through them.
Ooh. That was so bad that I'm like cringing all the way to my toes. My toes are cringing.
What do you call a fat pumpkin?
A plumpkin. Hello.
Last name being first name Bada.
Okay, we're not making friends jokes. We're talking about horror
Okay,
films.
fine. Yeah, hi. Welcome to the Suplex Siblings web series, where we talk about all things entertainment and such, and horror, and sports entertainment, and sports, professional wrestling, all of the things.
We talk about it all.
I'm Chris.
I'm Chrislyn, and I'm recovering from that joke.
Which
My
one?
toes are still cringing. Okay, but we saw a movie.
Yeah.
Surprise! And it was surprisingly really good. So I used to be a big horror fan. I'm still a fan. I like psychological horror and thrillers, but I used to be big horror fan, big creep. And I am very familiar with the Halloween franchise. We went and saw, you guessed it, Halloween last week for our opening weekend, and oh wow, okay, yeah. So let me just start off by telling you guys what's up. So
Spoiler alert, by the way.
well, yes, but brace yourself. Wow. Okay, so this was the biggest opening for a horror film with a female lead, first of all. Biggest opening for a movie with a female lead over 55. The second biggest October opening ever. And the biggest Halloween opening ever.
Out of all the movies,
Out of
which
the whole
there's
franchise.
like 6 or 7.
Okay. And, I agree. I agree with all that. I agree that was great. Like, here's the thing. It's a horror film, so you go into it and you know people are stupid. Like, you just know they're gonna be stupid. I am the person who sits there and I just can't handle it, and I'm just like, stop doing the thing.
Stop do
doing the thing. And it just, so not fun for moviegoers who are with me, but I'm just like, stop it, just, but, if you wrote a horror film in which nobody made a bad decision,
it wouldn't be entertaining.
It's not a horror film anymore. It's just, oh, that was a conflict. The end. Oh, you mean we didn't run through the forest at night in the dark where a serial killer is chasing us? Oh, check. We're alive. We found the police. Actually, spoiler alert, in this film, this is like the only horror film in which running through the forest
was safe
at night, it was the safest route. It was the safest route, because Michael had already, decided, I don't want you, I know where the house is now, I'm gonna go and kill your family.
Spoiler.
So, please tell me your thoughts, because obviously I can go on.
Going into it, first of all, in the beginning of the film, many people spoke about how, 1978, the movie's a direct continuation from the original. It's not connected to any other movie. 1978, he killed 5 people on Halloween night. I was running through it in my head, and I counted at least 17 people that he killed in this movie in one night. So I mean, the first 10 minutes of the film, he breaks his record.
Okay, but here's my thing. The beginning of the movie, I hated it. I hated the beginning of this movie. First of all, another spoiler, every male character in this movie sucks. Like, every male character is the worst. I hate all of them.
Everything. They're either stupid, they suck at their job, or they just
they're
just suck
bad
in
people. And including Michael Myers. Like, every male character is they're just the worst.
There was only 3 characters in the entire film that ever did anything right. Well, I mean, actually, you know what though? I will say that the one male character that was fine was the husband to Laurie's daughter.
Oh yeah, he was
kind of ditzy, but
he
whatever.
was funny, like Goofy Dad, but
Yeah.
you know that Goofy Dad is gonna die. Like, you know that. Like, he shows up and he's making dumb jokes and being like, I'm your friend, I'm down with the kid. He's dead.
I'm hip.
He's like, He's dead. Spoiler alert. He's dead. Like you know that the second you meet the guy. Like
that's one of the kills that kind of it sucks. It's
that was
sad.
That was
it's
sad.
Because you don't want him to die.
I don't want anybody to die. I don't like.
Well, I know,
people
but
die,
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
yes.
some of the people. I mean, the boyfriend should have. Like you wanted him. He
should have died.
But
I'm sorry. That guy I'm just. Okay, so let's organize our brains here. So, okay, beginning of the film. I wasn't a fan just because of the way that it was orchestrated. It was so theatrical that it was like, okay, like when the reporters show up and like holding out the mask, trying to provoke Michael. I get that they were trying to kind of evoke that emotion in the crowd, kind of get us like, oh, the suspense. I was sitting there like, you deserve it. If he turns around and stabs you, like, you're too close to anyone.
Well, I mean, what I even pointed out was during that, the psychologist guy, he said, oh, whatever you do, under no circumstances do you step over that line. He stepped right up to the line. I think everyone kind of expected him to step over the line and get killed.
I think in terms of storytelling, they should have left that out if he wasn't going to step over the line, which he didn't. If that wasn't going to happen, they should have just let it be what it was.
Which, I mean, I think that's actually kind of a genius move, though, because you expected him. Yeah, you expected him too, because everyone in the horror film was stupid.
I just think that, like, saying, because then it was kind of like, it was just a moot point. Like, it didn't matter.
Makes sense.
It was whatever. And because obviously the premise of the film, Michael escapes from prison, from his,
the asylum.
And that scene stressed me out more than anything. Like, there's a point where, I mean, it's going to happen because you know that this is what the film is. But when it actually happens, that scene is so stressful. I don't like anything happening to children. That freaks me out. Like, that's like next level. And yeah, that's the point of the movie where you're like, okay, this is Halloween. Like, this is Halloween.
What's interesting, though, is that kind of establishes that he's just an evil character.
Yeah, and what was interesting was that every character was referring to him throughout the film as it. Evil. Yeah. They were like, it, the thing, that thing, like not as a human, because what human being has this capacity to murder without remorse? Like he doesn't speak, he doesn't have any human impulses, it seems, and so it was at first I'm like, but he's still a person, but then I'm like, is he? Because, and some people will argue like that, oh, he's methodical, he kills certain people for a certain reason, and they've never really divulged his motives. They talk about how he murdered his sister when he was 6 years old, and that's what started it. That's what turned him into the monster.
The theory is that he has some unknown goal that no one can figure out what it is.
Obviously, he has some kind of goal.
And that's why he doesn't speak. That's why he just, he kills so-and-so and whatnot. And that's why he's so methodical with what he does.
But at the same time, he's not methodical, because he would...
The only thing that's methodical, really, is that he thinks, like, 3 steps ahead.
Right,
that's what I mean by that.
It's hard, because it's kind of like I think about the Joker, and we could talk about how methodical he is, but at the same time, he's still kind of just chaotic, and if he wants to blow something up, he will. Michael's kind of like that, where, yeah, he has a plan, he has a certain... Obviously, his target was Laurie. Yeah. He wanted to find her and kill her, but he would just kill whoever.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is that I think he had a plan for Laurie, but he didn't have a plan for anything else. He just kind of did that on a whim.
Right, and if somebody was there, he just
killed
them. And which, it is what it is, and that's what we know Michael Myers to be. We know that about him, and we know that he's just that. He's that thing. Like, he's not even a guy, really.
He's just a monster.
He's a monster. He's a killer. And what I find the most hilarious about this movie. Okay, so I love Laurie, but honey,
I've been planning this for 40 years.
40 years.
Stands next to a door with windows.
Oh my god, yeah, that was Laurie. Girl, you done messed up. Also, the part that got me, the part that literally made me actually roll my eyes out of my face, was when they finally get to her house. At this point, they all know Michael Myers is free. Her daughter and granddaughter kind of like, they don't really want much to do with her because she's gone crazy. She has severe PTSD, as anyone would, being hunted by a serial killer and being taunted for and they finally get back to her house. She has like this whole underground bunker. Like she has so many weapons. She's trained for 40 years. They get down into her bunker. Michael gets inside the house and she's like, okay, we have to hide down here so he doesn't know where we are. She shoots through the floor and tells him exactly where she is. In hindsight, at the end, you understand why. At that point though in the movie, I'm like,
are you
you're
stupid?
An idiot. Like, you just flat out just told him.
Man.
And then the most suspenseful part of the movie is when she actually decides, okay, I'm gonna go get him now. Like, I'm gonna go and kill him. And she has her gun in her hand, and she goes through every room in her house, which, if you're this paranoid, why do you have so many bedrooms? You have so many rooms in your house? Like, you're crazy. That's... No. First of all, that's like something that somebody who's that paranoid, that wouldn't, come on. But anyway, like she gets to that point in the room with all the mannequins.
That's where you kind of realize that he had a plan for Lori.
Yeah, and that's
where I
what
said
was,
he was.
what like
he was
freaks
thinking
me
it
out about this. So this movie kind of encompassed like all of my worst nightmares, because like you have, I'm sure a lot of people do like have those nightmares where like you can't fight back or something's happening and you feel debilitated or just that. It's just all of my worst fears, but I enjoyed it. And weirdly, but in that scene when she actually confronts him, first of all, why can he teleport? Like, he's so fast. He's so fast. It's blah. Anyway, I'm getting so into it. But in that moment, it was like she forgot everything.
Well, I mean, it's adrenaline. You kind of just forget.
It's like everything. She forgets how to fire her gun. She forgets, like, oh, he could be behind me. I'm just gonna turn around. Like, and she gets thrown out a freaking window.
Now, that was an homage to the original. Because that's how the original ended. Was, he gets
and yes, and it was like a big moment because then
disappears.
she gets up and it's like he realizes, oh my god, she didn't die.
She's gone.
And she's gone. Where is she? And then of course the whole thing was a trap. But that part, I was like, girl, like because yes, paying homage, thrown out the window. But in that scene where like, first of all, he could have killed her right there. He could have killed her in any other scenario. She has this gun in her hand. She prepared the whole time. Suddenly, he's there. I forgot how to do everything. And now I'm like, what are limbs? What is this weapon? What am I doing? Thrown out a window. That's that. And I don't know. Because I was not a huge fan of her daughter in the film. I was like, oh my goodness, why are you like this? But then at the very end, I did love that scene where she was just like, gotcha. Like, that was pretty iconic because the whole thing ended up being a trap.
Yeah, the whole house,
It was all set up like, oh, we're gonna lure Michael here. We're gonna light the whole place on. They blew it up, lit it on fire. Well, first of all, they're standing there like everything's catching on fire. It would have blown up realistically. Yeah. Like it would have just exploded because they had like this whole
gasoline.
Yeah. And they're just standing there watching like, you're gonna burn to death. I'm like, you're gonna burn to death. and then it was like this whole thing where he wasn't there in the final shot, so did he escape?
He's Michael Myers.
He's
done that so many times.
Bothers me about this whole franchise. So okay, yeah, he's inhuman in the sense that he can just kill without remorse and he's a monster. He's still a human. How is he escaping everything? How? That place was up in flames.
Exactly.
He's in a trap.
He's been shot in the face.
And that was the other thing. She shot him across the face, and he was hit with a frying pan. He was hit with a crowbar in the beginning, and nothing. Did not faze him. That was the scariest scene in the beginning in the bathroom. That's the scariest scene in the whole movie, in my opinion. That's because that is my biggest fear. That's my biggest fear in life is public restrooms because oh my god, that terrifies me. But yeah, that was the most gory. Okay, that was the second most gory part of the scariest part of the whole movie. The most gory and disgusting part was with the friend when he got killed on the fence. That was disgusting.
That wasn't the most gory.
That was disgusting.
The most gory part was when that guy's head got smashed in.
Yeah, but that looked more like a pumpkin.
Yeah,
Like, he just smashed his face
No,
in.
the thing with the kid, it
Just
sucks.
like casually, like he just stomped on the guy's face.
It
Whatever.
sucks because it's just like that whole scenario was just like, oh my god.
That like, oh,
You know,
poor kid.
'cause
like he's an idiot, but that poor kid, like, come on.
I'm sorry. What was
He was just there.
he like talking to the neighbor or whatever? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trespassing. Have you ever had a girl that you couldn't have?
This poor kid, like, oh god, wrong
That's
place,
funny.
wrong time, just getting murdered, you know.
Yeah.
And then, what's her name? A stupid thing that horror film people do. She like comes back and sees what's going on, and then she's just like, oh no, and she has to like run through the neighborhood, like, oh, like she hear. I just.
She couldn't hear the suspenseful music playing.
I know she couldn't hear the music, but she didn't know what was happening. But the part when she got into the cop car and like the doctor turned out to be, I had a feeling this guy, you know, right off, this ain't even a spoiler. Like, you know, right off the bat that the doctor guy is a freaking weirdo. Like he's so obsessed with Michael Myers, like on a different level. It's not like to the point. Because I understand being intrigued by somebody's mental state. Like, I've always
But if
been
your
fascinated.
life's work, your session has been
And
this
he's-
character.
And it's not even just like he's intrigued or he wants to
He's
understand
obsessed.
it. He's obsessed, and it's like he wants to set the monster loose. He wants to see him in action. He literally wants to see him murder somebody. Like, he wants this to happen.
How is this feeling?
Yeah, and he
Say
wants to
something, Michael.
Yeah, and he's just, you just know. And so at that point, like, it's a weird, you question your own morality, because at least I did, because it felt weird for me to want a character to die. Like, it feels weird to actually want Michael to kill someone. Like,
Which-
that was a weird feeling. I hated that feeling.
I think one
but
of
it was kind of
one of the
brilliant.
better parts of the movie was when, you know, when he turned against them. Michael Myers is in the back of the car. Allison's looking forward, and all of a sudden she turns. Michael Myers is just like, "Hey, what's
Yeah,
up?"
he's
with the
just
mask,
staring.
and then he just kicks in
And
the back of the face.
that's what I find really interesting, because we were talking about how he's methodical but not. He had the opportunity to kill her right there, and he did not take it.
I think
because
that's
he had a
honestly-
motive. He
yeah.
was like, I gotta kill this guy because
He's psycho.
in my way and he's like crazy.
Well,
He took my mask.
I honestly think that came down to, you know, like you said, there's that, but also I think he was thinking, who's the biggest threat right now? Because she's terrified, and he's
Right.
just a psychopath.
Yeah.
You know, like he's
And
probably
that's
thinking
true
that.
because that means that there is some level of rationality in his mind because he
Which
was
is terrifying.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It might just be instinctual,
Probably.
but it does seem like he has a rational part of his brain somewhere where he knows
Like,
that
there's still
this
something
person's a
human.
threat, this person's afraid of me, so it's whatever. Like, I'll get her later, you know.
Which is
that
which
kind of
is
thing.
what's really terrifying, because I mean you're basically saying, you know, there is something human about him that you
and
can't
that's
really put your
that's
finger on
what's,
it.
Like, it makes me sad. It makes me really sad because I want to know, like, why. I want to know why. You know, because like I said, they talk about him like, oh, he murdered his sister, he was a little kid, blah 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 blah. But why?
Exactly.
You know, and
Well, that's the mystery. And I mean, you know, we're usually a wrestling group. You know, we talk about wrestling all the time. Think of Kane when he first showed up in WWE. You know, he had the mask. That was his whole thing. You don't know what he looks like. You know, you've heard the
right,
rumors.
and it's like that air of mystique. It's like Darth Vader.
Yeah,
You know,
you
he
don't
was
know.
so intimidating because you don't. And that's the thing about Michael Myers that makes him scary. You never see his face. They tease it in the
So
beginning
many
of the
times.
movie.
So many
and all,
people see his
all the
face.
time. And,
But you know,
yeah, but we don't. And that's what
It's always
makes
covered
a
or blurred,
villain
yeah.
terrifying, I think,
don't know what
is
they look
like,
like.
not understanding like what is their identity? Who are they? And yeah, like Darth Vader, Kane was a good example because he was very intimidating, very scary because nobody knew what he looked like, and he was just, and that's totally fictional, you know, and obviously this is too.
well, I
but
mean,
it's
that was based on like Michael Myers, Jason, whatever, you know, but and that's really good. You know, that's like you said, that's how you
Yeah.
create a character.
I think what's so interesting about the Halloween franchise is that he is a person.
Yeah.
And that's what, see, and like I said, I love psychological horror and psychological thrillers and things like that. And so when it's an actual person, it makes it all the more terrifying.
Well, that's kind of what sets Halloween apart from all of these other horror films. You know, Freddy Krueger, he's a dream.
Right.
You know, he's a nightmare. Jason, he's literally a supernatural being.
Yeah, and then you think about all of these like the
Jigsaw,
horror films like
all
the
these, yeah.
Exorcist and like things like that are just so paranormal and theatrical,
Yeah.
and it's like, yes, that's scary, but when it's something that, this is why I don't like slashers of any kind, you know, because it's like that can happen. It freaks
Well, I
me
mean,
out.
that's I like the
And
concept of Saw because of, you know, it's a
very
psychological,
psychological as
but
far
it's
as
just
Jigsaw.
the execution is
Yeah.
like it's too much gore.
It's
It's
disgusting.
just over the top. You know, I think that's what really
Nobody
sets,
needs to see
sets
someone's
this film.
intestines fall
That's
out.
what sets this film apart from all the other slashers and psychological. It's the perfect balance
Mhm.
because we even spoke about this immediately after the film. We said, you know, you saw everyone that would die, but you didn't see them die. So
it was very
you
different.
got the
yeah,
point. You got the point
You
that
did
it
get
happened.
the point, but it was still very terrifying.
Yeah,
and
you still got
I mean, I think there's a way
to do
to
it.
do gore, like The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
Perfect, because I mean that's disgusting. It's disgusting, but loved it, you know, and it's because that's it's story based, you know. So the gore is
It's not just
secondary,
random, yeah.
and I feel like although like Saw, for example, a lot of people are going to be very upset because Saw is very popular, and I understand the appeal. Although it is very psychological and has a very interesting premise, the
It's mostly
gore
gore.
is a main character,
Yeah,
and
that is
that's
the
the
main
problem
part of
for me personally. If you're into that, whatever. I'm not a fan of the gore being
No.
the primary character. Like, and think about things like Final Destination and stupid stuff like that. Like, the whole point of the movie is the disasters and
People
people dying. Like, there's no story. You know what I mean? Halloween does have a very interesting
Story behind it, yeah.
psychological premise that, and it is very suspenseful, you know, and that's what I go for, is the suspense.
Suspense.
Freaks me out, but yeah, I don't know. That was I got really excited.
Well, I mean, I remember one part in the film that you were almost just like, I'm leaving, because you thought he was gonna kill the baby.
Okay, the baby, like, I'm like, a part of me knows, but then there's that part of me that doesn't, and they did that scene really, really well, because I believed he's gonna kill this baby, and I'm walking out of the theater
Well, and I
right
even
now.
told you, I said,
And like, I know he wouldn't kill a
yeah,
baby, but
it's not a
it's
threat,
that point.
you know.
It's, I'm not saying he wouldn't kill a baby, but in that scenario, he wouldn't.
No, because
But
it's just like, this thing's not a
at the
threat
same
to me right
time,
now.
like,
Yeah.
it was so well choreographed
It
that
convinced you.
it really convinced me, and I was just like, because I, at that point, and they did a really good job of, for somebody who's like, if somebody had never seen any of the original Halloween films,
They would've been like, "Oh my God."
they could, yeah, and I think they could really get into this because they build him up, and at that point, when he got to the baby, the reason why I felt that way is because I believed him. I believed he's gonna kill anybody. Like, he's just a monster. And because at first, you know, even though, like, I know who Michael Myers is and I know what he's done, and this whole thing, I had this experience with the films, it's still, like I said, when they're calling him It and Monster in the beginning, I'm kind of like, well, you know, but then he proves it to you.
Yeah.
And that's why in that scene I was like, I will leave. I will walk out of this theater right now. But it was very well done. All in all, I don't know, like, what kind of, you know, idea I'm projecting,
Portraying.
but I liked it.
Yeah.
I did.
I thought it was, I mean, I haven't seen, like, a lot of horror films. I mean, I think I saw The Messengers, like, 4
and
times.
that's more paranormal,
Yeah, it's
and it's very like,
paranormal.
and I love that, and I, you know, things like, it's weird because I can't pick a genre per se, because I select. When it comes to horror, I'm very picky.
Well, I mean,
Very
okay,
picky. 'Cause it's very
Insidious-
easy to mess that up.
Insidious is kind of, you know, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of horror films that are kind of meh.
Right.
I think out of the ones I've seen, this one is like my
This is,
favorite one.
it's very good. And
It's really
in
good.
recent years, I still think that Get Out is my favorite that I've seen ever. But that one, I mean, it's weird because I wouldn't really consider that horror. I know people do. It's more of a
Thriller? Yeah.
Okay, now it is horror.
Psychological
It's
horror
horrifying.
kind of.
Yeah, it's a psychological horror, social horror type thing, and it's my favorite that I've seen, as far as storytelling, just beautiful. But this one, definitely for the theatrics, because you know this is Halloween is more of a theatrical horror
Well,
film,
okay,
and it's
One
by far
thing
one
with
of
the
my
film,
favorites.
the soundtrack alone. I mean,
Oh,
you really felt it. I think
iconic.
this is what makes the part where they're at the gas station and he kills the 2 reporters. I think that what makes that one of my favorite scenes in the movie is that he does that just to get the mask,
Yes.
and then the soundtrack that plays, you're just like, oh my
It's
god,
so iconic because
this
then you're
guy-
just like, yeah, that's
that's
god.
Michael Myers.
And it's, I mean, everybody who knows horror knows the Halloween soundtrack, and it's so incredible. And it's one of those that makes you literally get up out of your seat.
Yeah.
Like it makes you so uncomfortable in the moment, and it's brilliant. It's so good, and everybody knows, you know, the sound is what makes a scary movie scary, for sure. It's what builds suspense, and like Halloween is just unmatched in that area. Like,
sure.
I just, so good. But yeah, all in all, I liked
Good
it.
film.
I'm a fan. I would recommend it.
Would
If you like horror films and you haven't seen it, I mean, I would be shocked. Anyone who likes horror films and hasn't seen Halloween, what are you doing? Like, what? But yeah, if you're interested, you know, go see it. Because
For sure.
as much as I'm sitting here like, no, they did this and oh, I hate it. Like, and that's just me talking as somebody who's just like,
Oh my god.
why are you like this?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm, you know, horror films, we know, it's just, oh god, it's just, and, ooh, the police, this is just, like, a common trope in every horror film.
Every film.
The police are dumb.
Stupid.
Like, they come, it's like one guy, he makes a joke about food, the other guy points at something suspicious. He's like, oh, that looks suspicious. Oh yeah, we should do something about it. Yeah.
And then there's the one
They
cop,
do nothing
you know,
and get murdered.
there's the one vet cop that dies, even though he's the
Ugh.
best one, like the best cop.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right, we're
Like,
gonna get Michael Myers.
They always just, they
He
just
does.
get killed. Like, they just come in and they're just awful. Why are you like this? Do your job. No one cares about your sandwiches. There's a murderer. Like, you're supposed to be watching these people's houses. You literally see something suspicious. Like, I swear for 5 whole minutes, they're like, yeah,
What
that's
is
just
that?
weird. That's just weird.
They don't hear the horn or anything.
Like, it's just weird. We should maybe go do something about it. And then finally they do, and they're like, oh,
I
man.
feel like a lot of this is out of context. And
I
it's really gonna
know.
confuse people.
But it's fine.
But-
If you have seen it, I think that you'll be like, yes, yes.
So go see it so
Go
that way you
see
can
it.
understand what we're talking about.
So
So
you can
watch this
also
now.
laugh with us.
Go see it. Come back and watch this again.
Yeah.
Go
that's-
see the film again because you didn't quite comprehend everything. Then come back and watch this again
Wow.
so that way you do understand everything.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like a plan. I'm on board. And, oh man, that's all I got. I am so tired now. Whew. Wiped me out.
Get it
Anything
out of
else
your
you'd like
system.
to add? Would you like to talk a little bit more about Halloween since you've said so much in this video?
No. No, I think you've said all of it.
You're welcome.
Most of it.
That's what I'm here
No,
for.
I agree. It was a good film. I recommend it to everyone that likes horror as well. Yeah, if you're a fan of Michael Myers, if you're a fan of psychological, if you're a fan of suspense.
If you're a fan of the spooky, if you're into the Halloween spirit, Halloween as in the holiday and the film, both, you know, go and see it.
Just don't be that guy who stands or sits in the middle, in the back of the theater, just being a creep. Yeah, it was like, hey man.
I mean, that,
no.
see, here's the thing. I go to see movies by myself all the time. I get it. Like, sometimes you just don't have any friends. I get it. Like, sometimes you just want to see a film. Nobody else wants to see it. If that's you, whatever. But just, you know, stop scaring the other moviegoers, please. Like, just don't do that.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks. Yeah. We'll see you in the next video.
Yeah.